Hi, everybody. Welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
So, Mike, how do you kill time when you ride the MRT or the bus or even a train or a plane?
Well, actually, Pat, this article and topic is right up my alley. How do I kill time? Books. Books, and more books.
Okay.
I don't watch movies on the plane. My friends are always saying, man, you read books so quickly. How do you do that? And I say, well, even in Taipei, going to work, I get probably about an hour of reading each day, about half an hour each way. So
sometimes I find the MRT is too busy for me to read a book.
It can be, that's true, and it's very crowded, but even then I usually bring a smaller book.
Okay.
So that's how I do it. What about you? How about on long plane trips?
Long plane trips, I will often read, sleep, and movies. In Taipei on the MRT, I use audiobooks.
Oh.
I have them. I buy the recorded books and I listen to them. So I'm kind of reading and I'm kind of listening. It's a bit of both.
Interesting. People always tell me to get some audiobooks and I still haven't done it.
They're good.
Maybe that's what I should do.
Okay, well, let's find out about this idea of books on the rail and how they're getting people reading by reading through today's article.
Reading.
Books on the rail gets people reading. How do people usually pass the time on the bus or train to work? Check their phone, listen to music, or take a nap? Books on the rail is a movement that aims to attract people to read more during their commute. Books on the Rail was started by Michelle Kellis and Ali Berg. It encourages people to leave books on public transportation in Melbourne, Australia. Passengers can then find the books, read them, and leave them for more people to enjoy. Each Books on the Rail book has a sticker on the cover to mark it as different. People can also write a location or even a review on a piece of paper attached inside these books. This way, people can easily trace the journey of a particular book. Berg and Kellis were inspired by a similar movement called Books on the Underground in London. In the future, perhaps more cities will have their own movements to leave books for people to find.
So our article starts with the question Mike and I were just discussing. It says, how do people usually pass the time on the bus or train to work? So in other words, it could be a 20-minute, 30-minute, fairly boring journey. You make it every day. There's not much to look at. So how do you stop yourself from getting bored or falling asleep? How do you pass that time or kill the time, fill up that time?
Yeah, and then here's another question to follow that up with some suggestions maybe. Check their phone, listen to music, or take a nap. So those are a few options you might have. Checking phones these days is pretty popular. Not only are you checking it to see if there are new calls or messages or email, but you're also maybe playing with apps or reading articles on your phone. You could listen to music, sure. You often see lots of people doing both.
I do that a lot, yeah.
Right? Checking their app while listening to something, or at least they have headphones on. Or maybe take a nap. A nap, of course, is a very short sleep, and it's one of our featured words for today. So let's take a look. Yes, nap. N-A-P, nap. It's a verb and it's also a noun. If you take a short sleep in the middle of the day, you could say, I'm going to nap or I'm going to take a nap. We don't use this for the longer sleep we have at nighttime from, one evening to the next morning or one night to the next morning. This is something you might do maybe after lunch for half an hour, or something like that. If you're feeling especially tired, it's always good to take a nap. For example, we could say the mother puts her baby down for a nap several times during the day.
Yeah, babies need plenty of sleep.
They do, they do.
Okay, so this is what a lot of people could do, but like Mike does, you could be doing more. The article says, Books on the Rail is a movement that aims to attract people to read more during their commute. So here we've got the word rail, which is just short for railway or railroad, and it means the train system. It just means any kind of trains, really. Books on the rail, books on trains. We could say, for example, the young people travelled across Europe by rail. They got on trains and they took train journeys.
And we also have this phrase, aim to, and then verb. It said it aims to attract people. We're going to get to that verb attract in a second, but when you aim to do something, it's basically showing that is your goal. That is what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve. So you could say, for example, I aim to learn some Japanese during my summer holiday, or I aim to learn how to scuba dive this year. That's your goal. You haven't reached it yet, but certainly you're very confident, you're very determined, and hopefully with some hard work, you will reach the goal that you are aiming to achieve or to reach. For example, Peter always aims to finish his homework on the day he gets it. Good for him.
Yeah. Now here we said it aims to attract people to read more, this movement. To attract, and this is spelled A-T-T-R-A-C-T, attract, means to get people to come to a place or participate in something by making it interesting or giving you some kind of advantage. It basically means make somebody interested in something. It could be a person. You could be attracted to a pretty girl or an attractive guy. You could be attracted to a place because it looks interesting. As we use in our example sentence, the beautiful clothing in the store window attracted a lot of customers. So here we're talking about people reading more during their commute.
That's right. Commute. This is a noun here, but we can also use commute as a verb. Basically, to commute is to take a regular journey from your home to school or to work, the kind of place that you go most of the time, most days of the week. If you're commuting to work, you're going to your job. If you're commuting to school, you're going to get an education. But it's usually a trip of maybe between 10 to 20 minutes up to an hour. A commute that's longer than an hour is fairly inconvenient.
Yep.
My commute every day is 30 to 40 minutes from where I live.
That's not too bad. I'm about 30 minutes.
Okay, and when people say, how do you get to work? How do you get to school? By bus, by bicycle, on foot. They're asking about your commute, that regular trip you take most of the time to get to school, work, or the things that you do every day.
Okay, so this whole movement, this project, Books on the Rail, we learned Books on the Rail was started by Michelle Callas and Ali Berg.
All right, very interesting. And it encourages people, it says, to leave books on public transportation in Melbourne, Australia. So it's a form of book sharing.
Okay, now I've been to Melbourne and there are a lot of trains that take you around the city and all out into the outlying areas. So I can see why they've concentrated on the trains because it is probably the major form of public transport.
Very, very convenient. Yes, and transport or transportation, as we saw in the article, it's a noun and it's basically just a way of getting from one place to another. So we're talking about feet, horses, taxis, buses, cars, airplanes, boats, helicopters, if you're like a rich guy. But basically, if you're going from one place to another, you are using a form of transportation or a type of transportation. And as I said, it could be anything from your feet to a spaceship. As long as it takes you from A to B, it's a form of transportation. For example, public transportation in this city has improved a lot over the last 20 years.
Yeah, when we talk about public transportation, we're talking about stuff that people use, everybody uses.
Anyone can use.
Yeah, buses and...
As long as you have a little money.
Yeah, buses and trains and the subway, whereas private transportation is cars and bikes and stuff you use either by yourself or with a very small group that you're often paying for. So a taxi is kind of private transportation because you're hiring it, but a bus would be public because anyone can get on.
Bus, MRT, yeah.
Yeah. So the article goes on and explains about this project and how it works. It says passengers can then find the books, so these ones that are left on the buses, on the trains, They find the books, read them, and leave them for more people to enjoy. So there we saw the word passenger, P-A-S-S-E-N-G-E-R, passenger. And this is just the person taking or riding in a form of public transportation or private. You can be a passenger in a car, but not driving it or controlling it. So we could say the passengers on the plane were asked to turn off their electronic devices.
Okay, back in the article it says, each Books on the Rail book has a sticker on the cover to mark it as different. All right, they want to let people know that you can't take the books, you can't steal them, of course. And if other people see you reading it, they might notice this sticker and say, hey, where did you get that? And find out about the Books on the Rail program. Sticker. S-T-I-C-K-E-R. It's a noun, sticker. A sticker is basically a colorful design or picture that's put onto some form of paper with glue on the back, so it sticks. That's where we get the name sticker. To stick means you just press it onto a surface, and it will stay there for quite a long time. People often put stickers on things in a way of identifying or marking them. You might put stickers on your books. Some people put stickers on the back of their phone. I know certain people who put stickers on their electric guitars and stuff like that, just as a way of decorating, a way of making something a little more interesting, and also marking it maybe as your own. For example, we could say there's a red sticker on this dress. That means it's 10% off. Yes, stores often use stickers as sort of a price tag or a marking of some kind.
Yep, and this sticker marks the book as different. And if you mark something to show, mark something as something, it shows it is or isn't a thing, or has or doesn't have a particular quality. So the book sticker basically marks it as or means that it is one of these books on the rail. Another sticker could be used to say, or a marker. A marker could be used to say the teacher marked a few answers as incorrect. So she put a red cross. That would mark the answers as wrong.
All right. In the article, it says people can also write a location or even a review on a piece of paper attached inside these books. Very cool. So a review, I should mention first, is basically, did you like the book? You can write your opinion of the book after you finish it. And a location, well, a location is just a place, a particular place, but a place that we don't have to give a name to, or we don't exactly know what that place is, but it is a location. For example, your friend says, hey, I'm getting married next year.
Ooh.
And you say, where are you getting married? And they say, well, we haven't chosen the location yet. We don't know the place yet. It could be this hotel, could be that restaurant, but it will be in a place, in a location. For example, we could say this house is in a great location, close to an MRT station, a park, and some shops.
So now this piece of paper, which has the location and a review, is attached inside the books. If something is attached to something else, it's connected there by some means or another. In this case, maybe it's glue, maybe it's sticky, or maybe it's just in a little plastic wallet or something. We could also say the price tag is attached to the shirt by a small loop of plastic.
And as the article says, this way, people can easily trace the journey of a particular book. That's actually kind of cool. It's like putting a little GPS tag on the book. You can see where it's been, who borrowed it, what stations or parts of the city it went to. And by following things, we are tracing those things. All right, T-R-A-C-E is how we spell this verb, to trace. And yeah, it's basically to follow something. If you order a package through, an online service like Amazon, and you're waiting for it and it's been a few days, you can often trace that package using the computer. They'll say, oh, your box or your books or whatever you ordered, it's in Hong Kong right now, and it will be in Taipei in 2 more days. So you're following something as it goes from one place to another, as it changes location. You follow or trace it. For example, police managed to trace the phone call to an old house near the edge of the city.
The article then says Berg and Callas were inspired by a similar movement called Books on the Underground in London. And I think I remember reading about this a few years ago. Now, if you're inspired by something, it gives you something gives you a great idea or the feeling that you should do something. The verb is spelled I-N-S-P-I-R-E, inspire. And it's kind of similar to motivate, but you motivate somebody on purpose. You're trying to get them to do something. Whereas you could inspire somebody by accident. They might just listen to you and go, hey, that is a great idea. Okay, for example, the example sentence says, the artist is often inspired by the things he sees in his everyday life. He gets lots of great ideas from all around him.
And so the final sentence sort of speaks of being inspired by this idea of books on the rail. It says, in the future, perhaps more cities will have their own movements to leave books for people to find. Yeah, if more cities do it, well, more cities have been inspired to copy this idea, which would be actually very cool.
Yeah.
Here we don't have the free books, but I've seen books being sort of lent out in the MRT. They have these big machines these days.
That's right.
You can sort of use your Easy card or whatever, and it's like an MRT library.
Well, we'll learn a bit more how this project works tomorrow, but for right now, it's time to move to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
The question is, what book would you like to share with a stranger, and why?
Wow, that's a very good question.
Yep.
How about you? Do you have any ideas?
Oh, I'd give them Treasure Island.
Treasure Island.
Everybody needs to read that book and learn about how cool pirates are.
Robert Louis Stevenson. It's a classic. I read that not too long ago, actually.
Yeah?
I read it as a kid, but when you reread books that you read as a kid when you're much older, they're interesting. Okay, well, I'll throw in one that's very similar. I don't know if you've read these books, but if you like Treasure Island, you should definitely check them out. The Aubrey Maturin novels.
I've seen the movie. I haven't actually read any of them, but again, these are all about master and commander. Right?
That's right. The master and commander
people on ships in the golden age of sail and sailing around and having adventures.
Absolutely. And so well written, it will blow your mind. So those are very good, written by Patrick O'Brien. As you mentioned, the Master and Commander movie with Russell Crowe was a number of years ago now. But both very good books about adventure on the high seas. So how about you guys? Do you have some favorite books you would like to share with a stranger? Maybe you're a fan of Harry Potter, or maybe the
Hunger Games.
The Hunger Game. Thank you. I was just about to say Hunger Games, exactly the ones I was thinking of. Okay. Those are also really exciting books that a lot of people enjoy these days, and I'm just happy when people are reading.
Okay, well, we'll find out more how we can get people reading in day 2 of our article. Join us for that tomorrow. Bye for now.
Books on the Rail gets people reading. How do people usually pass the time on the bus or train to work? Check their phone, listen to music, or take a nap? Books on the Rail is a movement that aims to attract people to read more during their commute. Books on the Rail was started by Michelle Kellis and Ali Berg. It encourages people to leave books on public transportation in Melbourne, Australia. Passengers can then find the books, read them, and leave them for more people to enjoy. Each Books on the Rail book has a sticker on the cover to mark it as different. People can also write a location or even a review on a piece of paper attached inside these books. This way, people can easily trace the journey of a particular book. Berg and Kellis were inspired by a similar movement called Books on the Underground in London. In the future, perhaps more cities will have their own movements to leave books for people to find.
Vocabulary Review.
Nap. Ted didn't sleep very well last night, so he's going to take a nap after lunch. Attract. This cafe especially attracts art students, as it is a creative space where they can work. Passenger. This plane can hold up to 300 passengers, though some other planes can transport more than 800. Sticker. Remember to remove the size sticker from your new jeans before you wear them tonight. Trace. In science class, the students traced the growth of 3 different types of plants. Inspire. This old song is actually what inspired my parents to name me Amy.